Now, the pawn is essentially the soldier. It can move up to one space a turn, or it can move two spaces. But this can only happen on its first turn. Now, how do you take pieces with the pawn? So, let's say if there was a piece over here, and this knight moved like this, the pawn can take it. So the pawn can only take in diagonals. And it can only move forward. It can't move sideways or backwards. It can only go forward and take diagonally. And also another important thing to note, there's a special move called en passant, where if the enemy pawn on its first move is next to your pawn, you can take. Now this doesn't work right now because we're in our analysis, but in a game, if there was a pawn that on its first move moved over here, you can take that pawn. Alright, so now we have the knight. The knight can move in an L shape. So it can move over here like this, or like this. It can move in anywhere, any L shape. It can go backwards, it can go forwards. And another thing to note about this piece is that it can jump over pieces. So let's say there's pawns over here. You can jump over the pieces. It's the only piece that can jump over pieces, right? And we've got the bishop. The bishop can only move in diagonals. So all diagonals of its own color can only move that way. Pretty simple, guys. And now we have the rook. The rook can move horizontally and vertically up the board. And it can move backwards, it can move forwards. It can't move diagonally. Only forwards, backwards, and sideways. And now we have the queen. The queen can move diagonally. It can move sideways, it can move backwards, it can move forwards, it can move in any way. It just can't jump over pieces like the horse, the knight. This piece is essentially the most valuable piece you're going to have on the board apart from your king. And talking about the king is the main piece you have in game. This is the piece that you want to protect at all times. Make sure you don't get checkmated. And checkmated is where your king is in check and your king cannot move to any viable spaces, in any open spaces. So let's say the king was being blocked by the pawns over here, and the queen was checking her. The king has no places to move, because the queen is covering all those places, and there's no other piece that can block it either. Let's say if there was a knight here, maybe the knight would block as a check, and the king still has places to move, so this is not a checkmate. A checkmate is only when the king is in check and cannot move or cannot defend. And checks can work if the enemy piece in its range, if it's seeing the king with no other pieces blocking it, then that's a check. So for instance, over here, this would be a check for on the white king. Or over here, the rook would be in check. Oh, sorry, the king would be in check by the rook. Or maybe if the king was over here, this would be a check to the king over here because the pawn moves like this. If the king was over here, that wouldn't be check. But if it was over here, it would be check. Alright, so we've gone through all of the basics over here. I'm going to be going through the point value of each piece. So we have the pawn here. The pawn is worth 1 point. Now it's important to note if in the game your pawn reaches the end over here, you can promote this piece to any piece in the game. So this could be the knight or the bishop, the rook or the queen, but you can't promote itself to a pawn or a king. So it is a very valuable piece to defend and may potentially promote if you can. Alright, so now we've gone through how the pieces work and how checks work and how they move. So let's go through a quick game. Let's go through a game with the computer and I'll try to explain what's happening. Let's go with the beginner bot. Alright, let's play. So we're gonna play a game here, and when you play chess, you wanna develop all your pieces. So what that means is I try to develop my pieces here, try to open up the board. I try to attack their pieces at the same time, give my pieces more room, give them more areas to attack, and not letting them be blocked. Like see over here, the bishop is being blocked over here. We want to open these spaces and help out our attacker. So let's start. We're gonna move our knight there. Start promoting our pieces to different places. And a very important move to note here is castles. So castles is basically what you just saw there. The king moves 2 spaces to the right and the rook moves 2 spaces to the left. Now castle can only occur if the king has not moved and the rook has not moved. Okay? I'll show you this a little bit more in actual games that we play. It's also important to note when the king is over here, it actually moves 2 spaces to the left here, and then the rook also moves 3 spaces to the right. Now this is called queenside castle because the queen's there and it's queenside castle. Alright. So the bot here has not done very good at opening his pieces. You see he's not castled. He's got a bad knight there. Bad knight over here as well. His rook's trapped. There's nothing opening up for him. So now we're gonna go attack here. We're gonna go here, get our pieces in the game, and we're slowly gonna encourage him over here. Try to attack this pawn here. Try to get my queen there. Try to get my pieces attacking. So let's start off with kicking this knight out. And he doesn't want to take. He offers another trade. Now this is a bad move because his piece is in danger by a pawn. And a pawn is again 1 point. It's worth less than a knight. So we take here. That's a free piece. And now he takes my bishop. So now we can take back here with the pawn. Now this isn't a great game because obviously over here we have triple stacked pawns here, and that's very bad for your structure. You wanna have your pawns separated on like a chain and being guarded by different pieces so they can all move like differently. If they're all stacked over here, they're blocking each other. So you wanna make sure they're spread out and not stacked up like these. Now he's preparing to go either kingside castle here or do a castle over there. And we want to try attack him here. We're gonna go here, try to get our rooks on the board, try to come on open files here. Now he's gone over there, so I'm thinking we should attack with over here now. We're gonna move our knight there. We're gonna try do a discovered check. Now a discovered check is when you move a piece and there's a different piece on your board that checks the king. Right, so this over here, discovered check, because I moved the pawn here and it's attacking that. Now another important thing to note here this is called a pin over here, right? So my knight is in danger, but if the knight is taken by this pawn, the king is unprotected, right? So he can't do that move, and that's called an illegal move. That's the right thing. That's a very nice thing to note down. So we're gonna take his piece over here, and he doesn't take back here. So that's actually a blunder here. We can go for a just really go for this. That's a blunder, guys, because again, you don't want to take things that are lower level in points with something higher. So the queen is higher in points, it has more range, has more power than all the other pieces, so that's why it's considered as a very high point value piece, right? So we're just gonna take over here with this. We're gonna have our setup, and this bar is just extremely bad. So I will be playing an actual game with actual people, but for now we just start with the introduction. Show you how pieces move. Alright, so now over here, like I said, if you can get your pawn to promote and become any piece, it's very nice, right? So how do we get this pawn to promote? He's endangering, we can promote there, but we don't want it to be taken, right? So let's go over here to attack that rook. Now he goes over there. We're gonna give him a little check here, and we're gonna give him a check here, and we're gonna take his rook. And that move right there, guys, that's called a fork. Now, a fork is basically where a piece is attacking more than two pieces at once. And this is a very nice move because two of the pieces are in danger, right? So you're gonna get one. And with checks, because he's in check, he's gonna have to guard this piece or move it around. So he doesn't have enough time to defend this piece here. And if you guys remember, the knight is actually worth more than the rook. So we take his rook, right? And now he moves and he's moving his knight, but that's not gonna do anything, right? And as you saw, this knight is actually pretty bad because at the start he forgot to develop his pieces in the right places and areas. So now we can take advantage of that. We're gonna go over here. Now we can take the knight over there. Or we wanna promote because I just want to show you guys what it looks like promoting. So we're gonna check him here. He's gonna have to go here or here, and we're gonna give him a check again. Discover check, guys, right there. And we're gonna check him here, and that's checkmate. So as you can see, this is a checkmate because the king has no spaces to move, right? The king can't move here because the queen is guarding this area. Can't move here because it's guarded by the knight and the queen. And it can't go anywhere over here because it's guarded by the queen here. And the only reason why it's checkmated as well is because you cannot take the queen here. So the king can't take the queen because this queen is guarding it. Alright. So we're just gonna go through a quick play of maybe a couple games of Blitz. So how you play in this website, you press on play and you press play online. And you can change your time rating here by clicking that arrow. You can play 1 minute, 3 minute, 10 minute. And this is for like very high level stuff right there. Or just for fun maybe. So we're gonna be playing 3 minute, but I'll just quickly tell you what these mean over here, right? So 1 minute basically everyone has both players have 1 minute on the clock. And when you run out of the clock, when you have no time, you actually lose the game. And you might be confused about what this time rating is. This is 1-1. So basically, both players have 1 minute, but every time they move, they gain 1 second. And this is the same with 2-1. So everyone has 2 minutes. You play a move and you get 1 second back. And as you can tell, it's the same thing for 3-2, 15, 10, 15 minutes, and then every move you play, you get 10 seconds back. We're gonna go with some rapid, some blitz, and because it's pretty short, so I can explain stuff to you. Go. Alright, so we're playing as black, and we're trying to win. Let's see what this guy does. And I'll try to make this easy to understand, because I understand it's very hard for new players to understand how to play chess. I'll try to teach many of my friends. Now, I don't think this guy's playing, so we're just going to abort the match and find a new game. Alright, so we're playing as the white pieces. And as at the start of the game, you want to develop your pieces. Now, there are different openings, but we're just going to go with the simple opening here. He wants to offer trade pieces, so we'll trade. We'll just try to keep things simple. And so basically, what that move right there was, he sacrificed a pawn to gain advantage of the center, right? That's what the main point of that move is. So we're just gonna keep developing our pieces here, because there's not much to do. I'm gonna go back, develop our pieces here, guys. I'm gonna try castle, and as soon as we castle, we're gonna develop our bishop here. Let's get the pawn out here. Now he's taking my piece over there, but that's not a good take, because I can take him over here, and he can't take with the queen. Otherwise, he loses it because I take back with the bishop. So I'll take back over here. Now, a lot of beginners, and even me when I started playing chess, they often don't count the pieces that are attacking a piece. So right over there, you just saw him carelessly take without counting, right? This is very simple. You just count the pieces, see how the trade matches up, and you can decide if the trade is good for you or not. So over here, he's actually going to go knight to d7. Now that's a blunder because we're attacking his rook here, so we can just take that. I think what I will do is I'll try to play a little bit less accurate, go easier on opponents to give people more time to understand what this video is talking about, how to play chess, right? Because you want to understand what's going on here. Now he's just opening up everything here, so it's actually not doing too great for him. We're gonna go over here, attack the e-file. I think we're gonna offer up a trade here as well. I'm gonna take his piece here. We're gonna go check, and he's gonna either defend it or he's gonna have to move his king. Alright, so over here he blocks a piece. He blocks a check. Blocks the check with a piece, right? Now what we can do over here is probably have a little think, right? We're winning the game. We're up by a ton of material. We want to make sure we're playing the right moves. Because a lot of people, they're up a lot, especially at the start. Beginners often, when they have a big advantage, they often lose it straight away. So you want to make sure that you're not doing that. Now, he basically has no pieces here. So we're gonna try to develop our bishop there. We could have gone here because he can't take because it's pinned. But I'm just gonna try to keep this a little bit simple for you guys. Now again, we're gonna try get maybe our bishop here, close off this line, get our bishop here, attack there. So he does attack my rook here, but because he's attacking my rook with that pawn, the pawn that was defending this bishop is no longer there. So we can take this bishop. And that's a check. Now he's either going to move here, or he goes there. Now we can just get our pieces out here. We're going to go here, take the queen. Sorry, take with the queen. And he's essentially just lost it. And now we just need to make sure that we don't do any blunders here, guys. I think we'll play one more game, and then I'll give you guys a quick introduction to this website. I'll tell you what's on this website, or maybe we'll do that sometime. Now he's going over here, so we can give him a check here. He's gonna have to move back here because the bishop's walking off there, and then just it goes over there, so we can give him a. We should check him. Where can we check him, guys? Go here. Now he's doesn't really have anything much to do here. We're just gonna execute this checkmate. So checkmate is where no piece can move. No, I mean no, the king can't move while in check. So let's go over here, and we're gonna threaten checkmate over here. Yep. So this is checkmate, and yeah, this is how you play chess. If you guys have any questions in the comments, or anything you guys want to ask, anything you guys want to have a clarification on, make sure to put that in the comments so I can answer to you guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.